The silence in space was complete. No sound traveled through the empty void where thousands of ships had died 300 years ago. The battle had been so massive that pieces of metal still floated in the darkness, spinning slowly like giant tombstones. Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of his cargo ship, the New Soul, and watched the wreckage field grow larger on his screen. He was a tall man with tired eyes and hands that showed years of hard work. His crew was small but good. They had been together for 5 years, salvaging metal and parts from old ships to sell at space stations. "Captain, we should not go in there," said Sora Park from her position at the engineering station. She was young but very smart with machines. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and grease stains marked her blue work clothes. The Galactic Council made it clear. No one goes into the Kepler 442 wreckage field. Hyunwoo looked at the red warning lights flashing on his control panel. Their main engine was failing. They had been trying to reach the next space station when the problem started. Now they were stuck between two bad choices. They could try to limp to the station on backup power and probably die when the engines failed completely, or they could enter the forbidden wreckage field and look for parts to fix their ship. "What do you think, Tae-min?" Hyunwoo asked the man at the weapons station. Tae-min Lee was older than the others, with gray starting to show in his hair. He had been a soldier before joining the crew. His job was to keep them safe from pirates and other dangers. The council makes rules for their own ships. We are humans. We follow human laws, and human law says we do what we must to survive. The fourth member of their crew was Yoonji Choi, their pilot. She was the youngest at 25, but she could fly anything that had engines. She turned from her controls to look at the captain. "I can get us in and out quietly. The big alien ships cannot move like we can. If we are fast and careful, no one will know we were there." Sora shook her head. "You do not understand. This is not just any wreckage field. This is where the Hegemony War ended. The worst battle in galactic history happened here. There are things in there that should stay buried." The Hegemony War was something all species remembered with fear. 300 years ago, an empire called the Hegemony had tried to conquer the entire galaxy. They had ships and weapons that were far ahead of anything else. For 50 years they had crushed every force sent against them. The war only ended when all the other alien races worked together to destroy them completely. "I know the history," Hyunwoo said quietly, "but history will not fix our engines. We need parts, and there are parts in there. Lots of them." Their ship shook as another system failed. The lights dimmed for a moment before the backup power kicked in. They were running out of time. "Captain," Yoonji said, "if we are going to do this, we need to decide now. I am reading massive metal signatures in the field. Some of those wrecks are huge. If we can find just one intact engine room, we can fix everything." Hyunwoo made his choice. Humans had not been part of the galactic community for very long. Only 50 years ago, they had invented faster-than-light travel and met the alien races. Most aliens thought humans were primitive and not very smart. They were allowed to trade and work in alien space, but they were not respected. "Take us in," he ordered. "But stay alert. If we see any other ships, we run." Yoonji's hands moved over her controls with practiced skill. The New Soul turned toward the wreckage field and slowly began to move forward. As they got closer, the size of the old battle became clear. Broken ships stretched in every direction. Some were small fighters no bigger than a car. Others were massive warships that had once carried thousands of crew members. "Look at this," Sora whispered, staring at her scanner. "Some of these metal readings are off the charts. The Hegemony must have had materials we have never seen before." The deeper they went into the field, the larger the wrecks became. Tae-min pointed to a shape on the main screen. "What is that?" "It is too big to be a ship." Yoonji adjusted their course to get a better look. As they moved closer, all 4 humans fell silent. Floating in front of them was the broken remains of something incredible. It was over 3 kilometers long and shaped like a giant arrow. Even damaged and dark, it was beautiful in a terrifying way. "That is impossible," Sora breathed. According to the records, all the big Hegemony ships were completely destroyed. Nothing that size should still exist. Hyunwoo checked his computer. The design matched old war records, but it was much larger than anything that was supposed to have survived. "Computer, identify this wreck." The ship's computer worked for several minutes before responding. "Hull design matches Hegemony flagship class. Probable identification, Dominion's Edge. According to historical records, this vessel was reported destroyed with all hands." "Reported destroyed," Tae-min repeated. "But here it is. The massive ship was broken in several places, but large sections looked intact. Lights flickered deep inside some parts, suggesting that power systems might still be working after 3 centuries. "Captain," Yunji said, "I am reading atmosphere in several sections, and some kind of power source is still active. This ship is not completely dead," Hyunwoo thought carefully. Every instinct told him to stay away from the giant wreck. The hegemony had been defeated because they were evil and dangerous. Their technology had been far ahead of everyone else, which was why they had been so hard to stop. Finding a mostly intact hegemony flagship was like finding a sleeping dragon, but their own ship was dying. They needed parts and materials to survive, and inside that massive wreck were probably enough advanced systems to not just fix their ship, but to make it better than ever. "Sora, what would we need to get inside safely?" The engineer looked at her readings again. "There are docking ports that look undamaged. Some sections have atmosphere, so we would not need full spacesuits everywhere. But Captain, we do not know what else might be in there. The hegemony had weapons and defenses we still do not understand." "Dead weapons cannot hurt us," Taemin said, "and we are not here to start the war again. We just need parts." Yunji was already calculating approach vectors. "I can get us close to what looks like a service bay, big enough for our ship, and the docking systems look compatible with our equipment." Hyunwoo looked at each of his crew members. They had been through dangerous situations before. Pirates, system failures, hostile alien merchants who tried to cheat them, but this was different. This was about entering a place that the entire galaxy feared. "We vote," he decided. "All in favor of investigating the wreck?" Sora was quiet for a long moment. Then she raised her hand. "Our ship will die if we do nothing. At least this gives us a chance." Taemin raised his hand immediately. "I would rather die fighting than floating helpless in space." Yunji smiled and raised her hand. "Besides, when will we ever get another chance to see the inside of a hegemony flagship?" "This is history." Hyunwoo raised his hand last. "Then we go in. But carefully. We take only what we need and we leave no trace that we were there." As their small cargo ship moved toward the massive wreck, none of them realized they were about to change galactic history. Inside the broken remains of the Dominion's edge were technologies that had been lost for 3 centuries. Power systems that could generate incredible energy, weapons that could crack planets, manufacturing equipment that could build things impossible with current technology. The hegemony had been defeated, but their knowledge had died with them. Now 4 humans were about to rediscover secrets that would terrify the stars themselves. "Docking in 2 minutes, Yunji reported. "The bay looks stable. Atmosphere is thin but breathable with masks. Remember," Hyunwoo said, "we are salvagers, not conquerors. We take what we need to survive and nothing more." But as the new soul settled into the ancient docking bay and the lights of the hegemony flagship flickered to life around them, Hyunwoo had a feeling that survival was going to require much more than just a few spare parts. The galaxy was about to learn that humans had a gift for taking broken things and making them work again. Even things that were supposed to stay broken forever. The docking bay of the Dominion's edge was larger than most space stations Hyunwoo had ever seen. Their cargo ship looked tiny, sitting on the metal floor that stretched away into shadows. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow over everything, and the air had a metallic taste that made breathing feel strange. "Power levels are stable," Sora reported as she checked her portable scanner. "Whatever is keeping the lights on has been running for 300 years without maintenance. That should be impossible." The 4 humans walked carefully across the deck, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. Taemin kept his hand near his sidearm, though he knew that any weapons 3 centuries old would be long dead. Still, old habits from his military days kept him alert. "Look at this," Yunji called from near a wall panel. "These controls are completely different from anything I have seen. The symbols do not match any language in our computers." Hyunwoo joined her at the panel. The hegemony had used their own language for everything, and most of it had been lost when their empire fell. But some of the symbols looked like they might be numbers or basic commands. "Sora, can you interface with any of these systems?" The engineer was already unpacking her equipment. "Maybe. Human technology is pretty good at adapting to alien systems. Give me a few minutes." While Sora worked on the controls, the others explored the immediate area. The docking bay had several levels connected by ramps and lift platforms. Everything was built on a massive scale, as if the hegemony expected to dock ships much larger than anything currently in use. "Captain, Taiman called from an upper level. "You need to see this." They climbed up to where Taiman was standing near a large window. Through the transparent metal, they could see into the interior of the ship. Corridors stretched away into darkness, lit by the same emergency lighting as the docking bay. But what caught their attention were the rooms they could see. "Those look like workshops," Hyunwoo said. "Or maybe factories. Fabrication centers," Sora corrected, joining them at the window. "I have seen pictures of these in the war records. The hegemony ships could manufacture their own parts and weapons while in space. They never had to go back to a planet for supplies." Yoonji pressed her face against the window. "If those fabricators still work, we could make any parts we need. We would not have to strip them from the ship." The idea was exciting and terrifying at the same time. Hegemony fabrication technology was legendary. They could supposedly take raw materials and turn them into incredibly complex devices in a matter of hours. Current galactic technology took days or weeks to accomplish the same things. "Got it," Sora announced from the control panel. "Basic translation protocol is working. This panel controls interior lighting and atmosphere for this section." She pressed a series of buttons and suddenly the docking bay was flooded with bright white light. The scale of the place became even more impressive. The ceiling was at least 50 meters high, and the bay could have held 20 ships the size of the New Sol. "Atmosphere controls are responding too," Sora continued. "I can adjust the air mixture to something more comfortable for us. And according to these readings, the fabrication centers are only 3 levels up from here." Hyunwoo made a decision that would change everything. "We establish a base here, set up our equipment, and start learning how this ship works. If we can get the fabricators online, we can not only fix our ship but improve it." Over the next several days, the 4 humans worked tirelessly to understand the alien technology around them. Sora proved to be particularly gifted at deciphering hegemony systems, where alien computer experts had failed for centuries. Her human intuition and willingness to experiment succeeded. "The power source is incredible," she explained to the others as they ate a meal in what had once been the ship's crew cafeteria. "It is some kind of quantum reactor that pulls energy directly from space itself. The more I study it, the more I think it could run forever." Taiman had been exploring the ship's weapons systems. "The defensive capabilities are beyond anything in current use. These shield generators could probably stop a direct hit from a planet-killer missile. And the weapons," he shook his head in amazement. "The energy cannons could crack a moon in half. Why did the hegemony lose the war if their technology was so advanced?" Hyunji wondered. "Numbers," Hyunwoo answered, "and arrogance. They thought they were unbeatable, so they spread their forces too thin. When the entire galaxy united against them, even their superior technology could not overcome being outnumbered 1,000 to 1. But as the days passed, it became clear that their activities had not gone unnoticed. Sora intercepted several subspace transmissions from ships at the edge of the wreckage field. Alien vessels were gathering, trying to determine what was happening inside the Forbidden Zone. "Council ships mostly," she reported. "Some military vessels from the major species. They know someone is in here, but they cannot pinpoint our location because of all the metal interference." The Galactic Council had been sending increasingly urgent messages to Earth, demanding information about any human activities in the Kepler 442 system. Earth's government claimed ignorance, which was technically true since Hyunwoo had not reported their situation. "We should leave," Yoonji said nervously. "If they find us here, it will be very bad for all humans." But Sora had made a breakthrough that changed everything. "I have accessed the ship's main fabrication system. Look at this." She led them to a chamber that took up an entire deck of the ship. The room was filled with machines that hummed with quiet power. At the center was a device the size of a small building, covered in lights and strange symbols. "This is a universal fabricator," Sora explained. "Give it raw materials and a design pattern and it can build anything. Starship engines, weapons, even smaller fabricators. The hegemony used these to outfit their entire fleet." Taiman studied the readouts Sora showed him. "According to this, we could build a completely new ship using just the materials already aboard this wreck. Something that combines human and hegemony technology." "That is exactly what I'm thinking," Sora said excitedly. "Human engineering principles with hegemony materials and power systems. We could create something that neither civilization could build alone." Hyunwoo felt the weight of the decision before him. They had come here just looking for spare parts. Now they were talking about building an entirely new vessel using technology that the galaxy feared. If they were discovered, it would be seen as an act of aggression by every alien species. But their own ship was beyond repair. The new Soul's engines had finally failed completely, leaving them stranded in the wreckage field. Their only way home was to build something new or wait for rescue that might never come. How long would it take? He asked. With the fabricator working at full capacity? Maybe 6 months. The system is incredibly fast, but we would be designing everything from scratch, combining two completely different approaches to starship construction. Yoonji had been quiet during the discussion, but now she spoke up. Captain, if we do this, we will not just be building a ship. We will be proving that humans can work with any technology, no matter how advanced. The other species think we are primitive, but this would show them what we can really do. Taemin nodded agreement. And if we do nothing, we die here anyway. At least this way we have a chance. Sora pulled up holographic displays showing her preliminary designs. I have been thinking about this for days. Human ships are tough and reliable, but not very fast or powerful. Hegemony ships were incredibly advanced, but they were complex and hard to maintain. What if we combined the best of both? The designs she showed were unlike anything any of them had ever seen. Sleek like a hegemony vessel, but with the solid, practical lines of human engineering. Weapons that could be incredibly powerful but also precise enough for non-lethal use. Engines that could move faster than anything currently flying, but simple enough that a human crew could maintain them. It would be a hybrid, Hyunwoo said, studying the plans. Something new. Something that neither the hegemony nor current civilization could have built alone, Sora agreed. It would be purely human in concept, but using the best technology available. The decision was made that night as they sat in the observation deck looking out at the stars. They would build their hybrid ship and take their chances with whatever consequences followed. None of them realized that they were about to create something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. As Sora began programming the fabricators with their new designs, signals were being sent across space. The major alien powers were growing increasingly concerned about the unknown activity in the Kepler 442 system. Fleets were being assembled and old alliances were being renewed. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to see possibilities where others saw only problems. And sometimes those possibilities could be truly terrifying to those who preferred the status quo. 6 months had passed since the 4 humans began their impossible project. The fabrication chambers of the Dominion's Edge had been working constantly, turning raw materials from the wreckage field into something that had never existed before. What emerged from those chambers was a ship that defied every assumption about what human technology could achieve. They called it the Phoenix Rising. The ship was beautiful, in a way that made even its creators stop and stare. 300 meters long and built like a silver arrow, it combined the elegant curves of hegemony design with the solid practical features that marked human engineering. Where hegemony ships had been complex and difficult to maintain, the Phoenix Rising was streamlined. Where human ships had been limited by inferior materials and power systems, the Phoenix Rising had capabilities that seemed impossible. Final systems check complete, Sora announced from the bridge of their new ship. She had spent months learning to integrate human computer systems with hegemony technology. The result was a ship that could be operated by a crew of 4, but had the capabilities of vessels that normally required hundreds of people. Hyunwoo sat in the captain's chair, which had been designed specifically for human proportions. Around him, displays showed information in both human languages and translated hegemony symbols. Everything felt familiar yet completely alien at the same time. Engines are responding perfectly, Yoonji reported from the pilot station. The Phoenix Rising used a hybrid drive system that Sora had designed. It combined human fusion technology with hegemony quantum field manipulation. The result was a propulsion system that could move the ship faster than anything currently in use, while being simple enough for a human engineer to understand and repair. Taemin monitored the weapons and defensive systems from his station. Shield generators are operating at 115% of design specifications. Weapons systems are all green. Captain, this ship has more firepower than most space station defense grids, but it was the ship's defensive capabilities that truly set it apart. Sora had redesigned the hegemony shield system to operate on human principles. Instead of creating an impenetrable barrier that required enormous amounts of energy, the Phoenix Rising shields were adaptive. They could absorb incoming energy and redirect it, making the ship stronger the more it was attacked. Sir? Sora said quietly. We need to talk about what happens next. She was right. They had spent 6 months hidden in the wreckage field, but their presence had not gone unnoticed. Alien ships had been gathering at the edge of the system for weeks. Long-range sensors showed at least 30 vessels from various species, all waiting to see what would emerge from the Forbidden Zone. The Galactic Council has been sending demands to Earth for 3 months, Hyunwoo said. They want to know what human activities are happening here. Earth's government is running out of ways to claim ignorance. Taemin pulled up tactical displays showing the alien fleet positions, 12 heavy cruisers, 4 dreadnoughts, and multiple smaller vessels. If they decide we are a threat, we will be facing the largest combined fleet assembled since the HFY War. The comparison was not lost on any of them. The last time this many alien ships had worked together, it had been to destroy an empire that threatened the entire galaxy. Now they were gathering because 4 humans had built a ship using that empire's technology. They are afraid, Yoonji observed. They think we have somehow brought the hegemony back. Sora shook her head. We have not brought anything back. We have created something completely new. This ship represents human innovation, not hegemony tyranny. But Hyunwoo knew that distinctions like that would not matter to the alien fleet waiting outside. To them, any ship using hegemony technology was a potential threat that needed to be eliminated. The fact that it had been built by humans who were still viewed as primitive newcomers to galactic society probably made it even more frightening. Captain Yoonji said, We could try to leave the system without engaging them. This ship is fast enough to outrun anything they have. And go where? Taemin asked. Earth? They would follow us there and demand we surrender the ship. We would be putting our entire species at risk. Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the forward view screen. Through the transparent metal, he could see the stars that had watched the rise and fall of the hegemony empire. Somewhere out there, alien commanders were making decisions about whether to destroy the Phoenix Rising before it could leave the wreckage field. We cannot run, he decided. If we run, we confirm their fears. They will assume we built this ship for conquest just like the hegemony did. Then what do? Sora asked. We show them what we really built, Hyunwoo said. We demonstrate that the Phoenix Rising is not a weapon of conquest, but a tool of protection. The plan he outlined was dangerous but simple. They would leave the wreckage field openly, making no attempt to hide or escape. When the alien fleet confronted them, they would try to communicate. And if communication failed, they would defend themselves in a way that proved their intentions. The key is restraint, Hyunwoo explained. If we have to fight, we disable their ships without destroying them. We show them that we could have killed them but chose not to. Actions speak louder than words. Taemin studied the tactical situation again. The Phoenix Rising has that capability. Our weapons can be set for precision strikes that will disable ships without causing casualties. But Captain, we would be fighting the combined fleets of a dozen species. Even with our advantages, the odds are not good. The odds were not good for our species when we first reached for the stars either, Hyunwoo replied. But we did it anyway. Sora ran final checks on all systems. Everything was perfect. The Phoenix Rising was ready for its first real test. Though none of them had expected that test to come so soon or be so dangerous. All stations report ready, she announced. Take us out, Hyunwoo ordered. The Phoenix Rising lifted smoothly from the docking bay of the Dominion's edge and began moving through the wreckage field. As it passed the broken remains of ancient ships, its sleek form seemed to glow with inner light. The hegemony ships had been designed to inspire fear. The Phoenix Rising had been designed to inspire hope. But as they cleared the wreckage field and entered open space, hope seemed very far away. The alien fleet was arranged in a perfect formation that blocked every possible escape route. Weapon signatures were powering up, and communication channels were filling with demands for immediate surrender. Incoming transmission, Yoonji reported. Multiple sources. They want us to stop and prepare to be boarded. Hyunwoo opened a general channel that would reach every ship in the alien fleet. This is Captain Hyunwoo Kim of the Phoenix Rising. We are peaceful travelers who have repaired our ship using salvaged materials. We request safe passage to continue our journey. The response was immediate and hostile. Human vessel, you are in possession of illegal hegemony technology. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Taemin's fingers moved over his weapons controls. Sir, they are targeting us. Multiple lock-ons from heavy weapons. Shields up, Hyunwoo ordered, but do not target them unless they fire first. The wait was terrible. For several minutes, the two forces faced each other in the darkness of space. The alien fleet had overwhelming numerical superiority. The Phoenix Rising had technology that had not been seen in combat for 300 years. Then the aliens opened fire. What followed was not really a battle. It was a demonstration of what human engineering could accomplish when given the right tools. The Phoenix Rising moved through the incoming fire like it was dancing. Sora's adaptive shields absorbed energy weapons and deflected projectiles. Yunji's piloting made the ship flow around obstacles that should have been impossible to avoid. And when Taemin finally returned fire, his weapons struck with surgical precision. The first alien cruiser found its engines disabled but its crew compartments untouched. The second lost its weapons but retained life support. One by one, the ships that had come to destroy the Phoenix Rising found themselves helpless but unharmed. "Cease fire," came the desperate transmission from the alien fleet commander. "We surrender." Hyunwoo had Taemin stop shooting immediately. In the space of 17 minutes, they had disabled every ship in the alien fleet without killing a single crew member. It was a display of power and restraint that left everyone involved shaken. "This is Captain Kim," Hyunwoo broadcast to the disabled ships. "We will provide assistance with your repairs. Medical aid is available if needed. You came here believing we were your enemies. We hope our actions have proven otherwise." As the Phoenix Rising began rescue operations, word of the engagement spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. The humans had not just survived an encounter with a major alien fleet. They had defeated it completely while showing mercy to their attackers. The galaxy was about to learn a new lesson about humanity. They were not just good at fixing broken things. They were also very good at defending themselves when threatened. And perhaps most importantly, they knew the difference between victory and vengeance. The news of what happened at Kepler 442 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every major news network was broadcasting the same incredible story. 4 humans had built a ship from hegemony ruins and defeated a combined alien fleet without firing a single killing shot. The reaction was immediate and intense. On Earth, the government was in chaos. Emergency sessions were called as officials tried to understand what Captain Kim and his crew had accomplished. Some called for them to be arrested for violating Galactic Council regulations. Others hailed them as heroes who had proven human capabilities to the galaxy. "We have received over 300 diplomatic messages in the past day," reported Earth Secretary of Galactic Affairs during an emergency broadcast. "Some are threats. Some are requests for information about our technology. And some are offers of alliance from species that have never spoken to us before." But the most significant reaction came from the alien species themselves. For 3 centuries, they had lived with the memory of the hegemony war. The sight of a ship using hegemony technology had awakened old fears and old trauma. Now they had to confront the reality that humans had taken that technology and made it into something completely different. Admiral Veltar of the Confederation was one of the alien commanders who had been disabled in the engagement. His ship, the Starfire, was currently being repaired by human engineers from the Phoenix Rising. The experience had shaken him deeply. "They could have killed us all," he transmitted to his superiors. "Their weapons were precise enough to target individual systems on our ships. They disabled our entire fleet in minutes, and then they came to help us repair the damage. I have never seen anything like it." General Mordun of the Alliance had been in command of the alien fleet's tactical operations. His report was even more disturbing to the galactic leadership. "The human ship moved unlike anything we have on record. It was as if they predicted our firing patterns before we made them. Their shields adapted to our weapons in real time, and their restraint." He paused in his transmission. "They fought like they were trying to save us from ourselves." The Phoenix Rising remained in the Kepler 442 system for a week after the engagement, helping to repair the disabled alien ships. Hyunwoo used the time to try to explain what his crew had accomplished and why they had done it. "We did not rebuild this technology to threaten anyone," he said during a subspace conference with representatives from a dozen alien governments. "We rebuilt it because it was the only way to survive. Our ship was failing, and we used what was available to save ourselves. But the aliens were having difficulty understanding the human approach to the situation. Most species saw technology as either good or evil, based on who had created it. The idea that the same technology could be used for completely different purposes depending on the intentions of its users was foreign to them. The hegemony used their fabricators To build weapons of conquest, argued Counselor. Zeth of the Dominion. How do we know you will not do the same? Sora had joined the conference to explain the technical aspects of what they had done. Because we changed how the technology works. Yes, we used hegemony fabricators and power systems, but we combined them with human engineering principles. The result is something that neither civilization could have built alone. She transmitted detailed schematics that showed how the Phoenix Rising's systems worked. Look at the weapons. Yes, they are powerful, but they are designed for precision, not destruction. The hegemony built their weapons to cause maximum damage. We built ours to end conflicts with minimum casualties. Taemin added his perspective as the ship's tactical officer. In human military thinking, the best victory is one where your enemy survives to become your friend. The hegemony sought to destroy their enemies completely. We seek to show them that fighting is unnecessary. The alien representatives studied the information for hours. What they found challenged everything they thought they knew about both human capabilities and hegemony technology. The Phoenix Rising was undeniably powerful, but its power was focused on protection and precision rather than conquest and destruction. This is impossible, declared Science Director Krall of the Research Consortium. Hegemony technology cannot be modified in this way. Their systems were too integrated, too complex. Yunji smiled as she responded. That is what makes human engineering different. We do not try to understand everything before we begin. We experiment. We try things that should not work, and sometimes we discover that they do work. The hegemony tried to make their technology perfect. We try to make our technology practical. But while the diplomatic discussions continued, events elsewhere in the galaxy were moving rapidly. The major powers were not content to simply debate what the humans had done. They were taking action to ensure it could not happen again. 3 different alien fleets were moving toward Earth. Each claimed to be conducting protective exercises in human space. But their real purpose was to intimidate humanity into surrendering the Phoenix Rising and its technology. The largest fleet belonged to the Hegemony War Coalition, the same alliance that had defeated the original empire 3 centuries ago. 57 ships are approaching Earth, Taemin reported as he monitored long-range communications. They will arrive in 4 days. Earth's government has been ordered to prepare to hand over the Phoenix Rising for study and containment. Yunwu felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. His crew had built their ship to save themselves. Now their creation was threatening to start a new galactic war. The alien powers were so afraid of another hegemony that they were willing to attack humanity to prevent it. Sir, Sora said quietly, Earth's defense fleet has only 12 ships. None of them are equipped to fight a force this large. And if we go to Earth to help, we confirm their fears that we are planning some kind of conquest, Yunji added. The situation seemed impossible. If they fought, they would be seen as aggressors. If they surrendered, human technological progress would be set back by centuries. If they did nothing, Earth might be attacked by species that were supposed to be humanity's allies. But Hyunwoo had an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. We are going to do something that no one expects, he announced. We are going to invite them to visit us. He transmitted a message that was broadcast to every ship in the approaching fleets. This is Captain Hyunwoo Kim of the Phoenix Rising. You are welcome to send representatives to examine our ship and meet with our crew. We have nothing to hide. Come and see what we have built. The response was immediate confusion. No one had expected the humans to invite inspection. The standard procedure when facing superior forces was either to surrender or prepare for battle. The humans were doing neither. They must be planning a trap, suggested Admiral Korvex of the Coalition Fleet. But General Morden, who had experienced human tactics firsthand, disagreed. No, this is how they think. They solve problems by facing them directly. If we are afraid of their ship, they will show us the ship. If we do not trust their intentions, they will demonstrate their intentions. Over the next 2 days, small groups of alien representatives visited the Phoenix Rising. They toured the ship, examined its systems, and interviewed the crew. What they found was not what they had expected. The Phoenix Rising was powerful, yes, but it was also clearly designed for exploration and rescue operations rather than conquest. Its cargo bays were filled with scientific equipment and medical supplies. Its weapons were precise rather than destructive. Its entire design philosophy emphasized helping rather than harming. "This is not a warship," admitted Chief Inspector Drawl after completing his examination. "It is a ship of peace that happens to be very well defended." But the most convincing evidence came from the humans themselves. They answered every question honestly, shared all their technical data freely, and demonstrated their systems openly. No conqueror in galactic history had ever been so transparent about their capabilities. "Captain Kim," asked Representative Yolin during her visit, "why are you showing us everything? Do you not fear that we will use this knowledge against you?" Hyunwoo had smiled at the question. "Knowledge shared is knowledge doubled. If you understand what we have built and why we built it, then you will know that we are not your enemies. Fear comes from ignorance. We choose to remove ignorance." By the time all the inspections were complete, the mood of the alien fleets had changed completely. What had begun as a mission to destroy a potential threat had become an opportunity to witness something remarkable. The humans had not just rebuilt hegemony technology. They had transformed it into something that embodied their own values of cooperation and protection. The final test came when the coalition fleet arrived at Earth. Instead of finding a world preparing for siege, they found a planet extending welcome. Earth's government had followed Captain Kim's example and invited the alien representatives to visit their homeworld and see human civilization for themselves. "This changes everything," Admiral Veltar reported to his superiors. "The humans are not trying to conquer anyone. They are trying to show us that conquest is unnecessary. The Phoenix Rising is not a weapon of war. It is a symbol of what becomes possible when different technologies and philosophies work together." The galaxy was beginning. 1 year had passed since the Phoenix Rising first emerged from the Kepler 442 wreckage field. What had begun as a desperate attempt by 4 humans to repair their ship had grown into something that changed the entire galaxy. The Phoenix Rising was no longer just a ship. It had become a symbol. The vessel now led a small fleet of hybrid ships, each one combining human engineering with advanced alien technologies. But these were not warships in the traditional sense. They were exploration and rescue vessels, designed to help rather than harm. The humans had kept their promise to use their newfound capabilities for protection and discovery. Captain Hyunwoo, Kim stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Rising as it approached a system on the outer rim of the galaxy. Long-range sensors had detected something that worried the Galactic Council enough to request human assistance. Strange signals were coming from the Arcturus system, and 2 survey ships that had been sent to investigate had simply disappeared. "Approaching the system perimeter now," reported Yoonji from the pilot's station. Over the past year, she had become one of the most skilled pilots in the galaxy, able to make the Phoenix Rising dance through space in ways that amazed even veteran alien crews. Sora monitored the ship's systems from her engineering station. The technology she had pioneered was now being studied by the greatest minds in galactic civilization. The Phoenix Institute, which she had founded, was teaching alien engineers how to combine different technologies in ways they had never imagined possible. "I am reading massive energy signatures ahead," she reported. "Whatever is in this system is using power levels that are off our charts." Taemin had been promoted to Admiral of the Human Defense Initiative, but he had chosen to remain aboard the Phoenix Rising for this mission. His experience with both human and alien tactical thinking had made him invaluable in situations that required both strength and diplomacy. "Sir," he said, studying his tactical displays, "those energy signatures match some of the readings we have from the old hegemony records, but they are much stronger." The possibility that another hegemony-level threat existed was terrifying to every species in the galaxy. The original empire had nearly conquered everything before being stopped. If something even more powerful had emerged from the unknown regions of space, it could spell doom for galactic civilization. As they moved deeper into the Arcturus system, the source of the signals became clear. Orbiting the system's main star was a structure that defied description. It was obviously artificial, but it was larger than most moons. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, and energy cascaded across it in waves of impossible colors. "What is that thing?" Yoonji whispered. Hyunwoo had seen many wonders during his year of exploration, but nothing like this. "Scan it, full analysis. I want to know everything about that structure." Sora's instruments worked for several minutes before providing results. What they revealed was both fascinating and terrifying. "Captain, that structure is not just using energy. It is producing it. Those patterns on the surface are some kind of massive power generation system. And sir, She paused, double-checking her readings. It is producing enough energy to power every ship in the galaxy simultaneously. The implications were staggering. Whatever had built that structure possessed technology that made even the hegemony look primitive. But more importantly, the energy output was increasing. Whatever the structure was doing, it was building toward something. "Sir, incoming transmission," Taemin reported. "It is coming from the structure. Put it through." The voice that filled the bridge was unlike anything they had ever heard. It spoke in perfect galactic standard, but there was something about the tone that made everyone on the bridge feel uncomfortable. "Greetings, inhabitants of this galaxy. We are the architects. We have observed your civilizations and found them inadequate. We will now begin the process of improvement." Hyunwoo exchanged glances with his crew. They had encountered many alien species, but this was different. The voice carried an absolute certainty that was more frightening than any threat. "This is Captain Kim of the Phoenix Rising. What do you mean by improvement? Your species struggle with conflict, inefficiency, and waste. We will eliminate these problems by restructuring your civilizations according to optimal parameters. Resistance is unnecessary. Our methods have proven successful in 17 previous galaxies." The meaning was clear. The architects were conquerors on a scale that made the hegemony look like a minor threat. They had apparently destroyed 17 entire galaxies and rebuilt them according to their own ideas of perfection. "Sir," Sora said urgently, "the energy output from that structure just doubled, and I am detecting similar structures powering up in 3 other systems. Whatever they are planning, it is about to begin." Taemin was already calculating tactical options. "Captain, we need to warn the galaxy. If these architects have the technology to restructure entire civilizations, every species needs to know what we are facing." But even as he spoke, space around the Phoenix Rising began to change. Other ships were appearing as if out of nowhere. Not solid vessels like the ones they knew, but constructs of pure energy that moved with impossible grace. The architects were not just observers. They were actively beginning their improvement process. Hyunwoo made a decision that would define humanity's role in galactic civilization. "Send out a general alert to all systems. Tell them what we have found. And then," he paused, knowing what he was about to ask of his crew, "we buy them time to prepare." The Phoenix Rising was just one ship, even if it was the most advanced vessel in the galaxy. The architect constructs numbered in the hundreds and were powered by technology that seemed to ignore known laws of physics. But sometimes one ship in the right place at the right time could make all the difference. "Evasive maneuvers," Hyunwoo ordered. "Target their energy projectors. We cannot destroy them, but maybe we can disrupt their operations." What followed was the strangest battle in galactic history. The Phoenix Rising danced through space, dodging energy beams that could have vaporized planets. Sora's adaptive shields absorbed impossible amounts of power and redirected it back at their attackers. Taemin's precision weapons struck at control nodes and power conduits, causing the architect constructs to falter in their movements. But most importantly, Yoonji's piloting kept them alive long enough to do what humans did best: adapt and improvise. "Sora," Hyunwoo called out during a brief lull in the fighting, "can you analyze their energy patterns? There has to be a weakness." "Working on it," she replied, her fingers flying over her controls. "Their power source is incredibly advanced, but it operates on principles I think I can understand. Sir, I believe they are using controlled singularities to generate energy. If we could destabilize just one of them, the chain reaction would destroy their entire power grid," Taemin finished. "But we would have to get inside their defenses to target the source directly." Yoonji looked back from her pilot station. "I can get us there, but it will require flying through the center of that structure, and we will only have one chance." Hyunwoo thought about the 17 galaxies that the architects had already improved. He thought about Earth and all the species that had finally learned to work together after centuries of conflict. He thought about the future that would be lost if the architects succeeded. Do it. The Phoenix Rising accelerated toward the massive architect structure, moving faster than any ship had ever flown. Energy beams that could have destroyed solar systems reached out to stop them, but Unji's piloting and Sora's shields kept them safe. As they approached the structure's surface, they could see that it was not solid, but composed of countless geometric patterns that shifted and changed like a living thing. There, Sora pointed to a section where the patterns seemed to converge. That is the power core. If we can hit it with everything we have. The Phoenix Rising dove into the structure, flying through corridors of energy and geometric impossibilities. Behind them, architect constructs gave chase, their weapons tearing at space itself. But the human ship pressed on, driven by the determination that had carried their species from a single planet to the stars. At the heart of the structure, they found what they were looking for. A singularity contained within a framework of pure mathematics, generating power on a scale that boggled the mind. Taman targeted every weapon the ship had at the containment field. Firing, he announced. The Phoenix Rising's weapons, designed for precision rather than destruction, struck the containment field with surgical accuracy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality seemed to hiccup as the controlled singularity broke free of its mathematical prison. The explosion that followed was visible from 3 star systems away. The architect's structure collapsed in on itself, taking most of their constructs with it. Across the galaxy, similar structures went dark as their power grid failed. The architect's improvement process ground to a halt. But the Phoenix Rising survived. Sora's shields and Yunji's piloting had carried them clear of the destruction just in time. As they limped away from the collapsing structure, communications from across the galaxy began flooding in. Phoenix Rising, this is Admiral Veltar. We monitored your engagement. Whatever you did, it worked. The architect ships in our sector have gone